Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपीकांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कंचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरि प्रिय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। तुलसी राधे गोलोकानंद भगवान की जय। बोलो श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय।
जय।
हरे कृष्णा तरुण।
Hare Krishna everyone.
हरे कृष्णा ईशा।
Hare Krishna.
All right. So कल हम लोग 74th श्लोक पढ़ रहे थे of 24th chapter, and 24th chapter is about Lord Shiva's teaching prayers to Prachetas. Yeah, and we know who the Prachetas are, right? So who are the Prachetas? The descendants of Maharaj Prithu, right? And Maharaj Prithu is descendant of Maharaj Dhruv. So what we are reading is about the descendants of Maharaj Dhruv, who is none other than descendant of Shambhu Manu himself. And Shambhu Manu is, of course, son of Lord Brahma himself, right? So we are currently reading about Prachetas. And as we know, Prachetas wanted to go for tapasya, right? And they did tapasya for 10,000 years under the sea. But before they did the tapasya, they met Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva gave them this stuti of Lord Vishnu, of Lord Purushottam. And that's what we are reading right now, almost about to complete. And so yesterday we read, again, continuous prayers to Lord Purushottam by Lord Shiva, teachings to Prachetas, that a devotee of Lord Krishna, whose mind is always absorbed in him, who with great attention and reverence chants this strot, yeah, this prayer which Lord Shiva is teaching to Prachetas, will achieve the greatest perfection of life. What is the greatest perfection of life? Of human life? When do we achieve the greatest perfection of life, right? Not when we become CEO of a company or president of a country, right? When do we achieve the greatest perfection of human life? As we have been reading in Srimad Bhagavatam, is when we surrender to Lord Krishna and we totally get absorbed in devotional service. Getting absorbed in devotional service is the greatest perfection of human life, because that's when we can go back to Godhead and get out of this chakras of Janma Mrityu, old age and disease. That's what is being mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam and all our scriptures, right? So greatest perfection of life without delay. So it says very clearly, right? Nityada yukto jap, right? Like every continuously with great attention, yeah, who does this prayer, what happens? Aprati Vasudev Parayana hai. Vasudev, Lord Vasudev's prayers, yeah, then they give the great perfection of life without delay, is what is being mentioned by none other than Lord Shiva himself. Yeah. And then we read this, and we also have seen this in Bhagavad Gita, to save living entities from such a calamity, yeah, which is life, birth, death, and old age and disease. Lord Krishna points out in Bhagavad Gita that bahunamam janma bahunanam janmamanam ante ज्ञानवानम प्रप्यदते वासुदेव सर्वमिति स महात्मा सुदुर्लभ है. यानी after many births and deaths, janmanaman, yeah, bahunam janmanam. After many births and deaths, a wise man surrenders unto me. Me is Lord Krishna here. Lord Krishna himself is saying this in Bhagavad Gita, knowing very well that I, who is Vasudev, am everything. Such a great soul is very rare. We can achieve whatever benediction we want simply by becoming devotees of Lord Vasudev. Yeah, this is what is being mentioned here. So let's start with Slok 75. Yeah, Ajay.
Sure. Shreyasamiha sarvesham jnanam nih shreyasam param sukham tarati dushparam jnana novya sanarvam. In this material world, there are different types of achievement, but all of them, the achievement of knowledge is considered to be the highest because one can cross the ocean of science only on the boat of knowledge. Otherwise, the ocean is impossible. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, yeah. So it's saying Jnanam Nihasreyasam Param. And the topmost thing is Jnana. And what is this Jnana? Jnana is the knowledge of the devotional service, of the bhakti is what is being referred here to, right? And if we can get that Jnana, then we can cross the ocean of the life cycle. Yeah. And it's very nice purport. So read this. Actually, this is opposed to such ignorance. Full knowledge is the greatest achievement within this material world. We can practically see that one who has sufficient knowledge is saved from many dangerous pitfalls in life. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Bahunamam Janmanamam Ante Jnanavanam Prapyadate. Yeah, we just read that. When one actually becomes wise, he surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is the Jnana. Yeah, and that is the highest perfection of life. Vasudeva Sarvam Iti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Such a great soul is very rarely to be found, but if they do it, then greatest perfection of life is achieved. Yeah, this is what is being mentioned. Isha?
Ya imam shraddhaya yukto madgatim bhagavatam stavam adiyano duraradhyam harim aradhyati yasho. Although rendering devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and worshipping Him are very difficult, if one vibrates or simply reads this stotra, prayer composed and sung by me, he will very easily be able to invoke the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, yeah. So at least Dura Aradhya, it's difficult. Yeah, rendering devotional service is not easy. Yeah, but if simply reads this prayer composed and sung by me, and who is me here? Who is saying this?
Shankarji? Sure.
Right? Lord Shiva, right? Because this is the stuti which Lord Shiva is teaching to Prachetas, right? And that's what Lord Shiva is saying, that if one simply reads this, what happens? He will very easily be able to invoke the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Harim Aradhya Suya Mat Itam Bhagvat Istavam. Yeah. And but Shraddha Yukto, like with faith, yeah, with full focus, if worships, then he can get mercy of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is what is being mentioned. And it's very interesting that it is especially significant that Lord Shiva is a pure devotee of Lord Vasudeva. Yeah, Vaishvananam Yata Sambhuha. Amongst all Vaishnavas, Lord Shiva is the topmost. Yeah, Lord Shiva is known as the topmost Vaishnava. And consequently, Lord Shiva has a sampradaya, a Vaishnava disciplic succession called the Rudra Sampradaya. So you will see that there is a Rudra Sampradaya which comes out from Lord Shiva. And there are three other sampradayas, the original sampradaya which we have seen. One from Lord Brahma, from Goddess Lakshmi, Lord Shiva, Rudra Sampradaya, and then Sanat Kumars, right? So there are the top four sampradayas which originates from Lord Vishnu, right? And those four sampradayas, so all the descendants of those four sampradayas are the authentic ones, yeah, not the other sampradayas. And that's where the knowledge has been propagated from Lord Vishnu himself to us, almost like in Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. Karun?
Vindate Purusho Musmada Yat Yat Ichati Asatvaram Mad Gitat Tata Gitat Supritak Chetrayasam Eka Vallabhat. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the dearmost objective of all auspicious benedictions. A human being who sings this song, sung by me, can please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a devotee, being fixed in the Lord's devotional service, can acquire whatever he wants from the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Yeah. Can please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? And Lord Shiva is saying, this is stuti sung by me. Anyone can do it. And, they will get the benediction of that. And actually, this is a nice purport. So let's read this. Isha?
As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Yam labdhva chaparam labham manyate nadikam tatha. If one can attain the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has nothing to aspire for, nor does he desire any other gain. When Dhruv Maharaj became perfect by austerity and saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face, he was offered any kind of benediction he wanted. However, Dhruv replied that he did not want anything, for he was perfectly satisfied with the benediction of seeing the Lord. Except for the service of the Supreme Lord, whatever we want is called illusion, Maya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Jivara Swarup Haya Krishnera Nitya Dasa. Every living entity is an eternal servant of the Lord. Therefore, when one engages in the service of the Lord, he realizes the highest perfection of life. A faithful servant can fulfill any desire by the grace of the Master, and one who engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord has nothing to aspire for separately. All his desires are fulfilled simply by engaging constantly in the Lord's loving service. Lord Shiva shows us that any devotee can be successful simply by chanting the prayers which he has recited. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So a couple of important things mentioned here is, of course, if one can attain the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, what else he has to aspire for, right? Then he doesn't need anything else, right? Is what is being mentioned here. Yeah. And that is then the highest perfection of life. Ajay?
Sure. Idam yah kalya uthaya pranjali shraddhayanvitam shrunuyachava vayen matyo muchyate karma bandhane. A devotee who rises early in the morning with folded hands chants these prayers sung by Lord Shiva and given facility to others to hear them, certainly becomes free from bondage of fruitive activities. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so in Srimad Bhagavatam it's mentioned, it's by Lord Shiva. Yeah, muchyate karma bandhane hai, like anyone who recites this, yeah, kalya uthaya prajali hai, swadhyamvita hai, then one who rises in the morning and chants these prayers becomes free from all bondage to fruitive activities. What does that mean? Muchyate karma bandhane, because every activity we do, we get the reaction, whether good or bad. So we are bonded to this, and that's why we get the next birth based on our karma. But by doing these prayers, muchyate karma bandhane hai, we can get free from the from those karmas. Yeah. And what are those karmas? Right? It says here, as far as devotional service is concerned, even hearing and chanting is as good as acting with our body. So we are doing some karmas by our body, right? And mind and senses. So hearing and chanting is also as good as acting with our body, mind, and senses. And it says actually hearing and chanting are also activities of the senses, isn't it? When we are chanting, we are hearing, we are doing some activities. It's a karma. But when the senses are utilized for one's own sense gratification, they entangled one in karma. For our satisfaction, when we do some karmas, like even donations and everything else, we are getting entangled into karma. But when they are used for the satisfaction of the Lord, they establish one in bhakti. Yeah. So that's the important part. Yeah. गीतम मयेदम नरदेव नंदना है परस्य पुंसः परमात्मनः स्वम् जपन्त एकाग्रीध्यस्तपो महत् चरध्वं अन्ते तत् आपश्यत ईप्सितम्. So he says, my dear sons of the king, the prayers I have recited to you are meant for pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Super Soul. I advise you to recite these prayers, which are as effective as great austerities. In this way, when you are mature, your life will be successful and you will certainly achieve all your desired objectives without fail. Yeah. So that's what Lord Shiva is telling to Prachetas, that you recite these prayers and then all the things which you will do will be successful. Yeah. And actually, so this, if we persistently engage in devotional service, certainly all our desires will be fulfilled in due course of time. And thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purpose of the 4th canto, 24th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Chanting the Song Sung by Lord Shiva. Yeah. So Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Sorry. Yeah. So we complete the 24th chapter. Yeah. And actually, so this whole stuti which we just read, right, of Lord Shiva, we are going to hear this. It's a 10-minute stuti. So at the end of this, we will hear the whole stuti of Lord Shiva, his composition. Yeah. So, and we'll continue with the next chapter. Yeah. And next chapter is the 25th chapter, which is about description of the characteristics of King Puranjan. So I think as we move on, we'll hear about the characteristics of King Puranjan. Yeah. So let's continue reading. Tarun?
Maitra vacha iti sandhisya bhagwanam bhari sadhev abhipujjitah vayasatam pasyatam raja putranam tatrevantara dade haraha. The great sage Maitreya continued speaking to Vidura. My dear Vidura, in this way Lord Shiva instructed the sons of King Bharisat. The sons of the king also worshipped Lord Shiva with great devotion and respect. Finally, Lord Shiva became invisible to the princess. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So after Lord Shiva gave this stuti to Prachetas, and Prachetas are son of Bharisat. Yeah. If you remember, King Bharisat and Satrupa, queen. Yeah. And of course, as we know, Maitreya Muni is continuously answering questions of Mahatma Vidur. Yeah, that's what we are reading, right? So, good. And actually, very interesting chapter to begin is like it says, when the great says Narad, so that a descendant of Maharaj Dhruv, talking about Bahirsat, King Bahirsat here, was being misled by fruitive activities. Because it says that, then Narad took compassion upon him and personally came to instruct him about the ultimate benediction of life, Bhakti Yoga. So here Prachetas were doing the tapasya, but the king Bahirsat got engaged in the fruitive activities, that is the karmic activities, whether good activities or bad activities, whatever, but the fruitive activities, right? So Narad Muni himself, came to instruct him, and that's what we are going to read in the upcoming shloks. How Narad Muni indirectly introduced the Bhakti Yoga system to King Prachin Bahirsat is very interestingly described in the 25th chapter. So that's what we are going to read. Yeah. Ajay?
Rudra Gitam Bhagavatam Strotam Sarve Prachetasah Japantaste Tapaste Purvashanyam Mayutam Jali. All the Prachetas princes simply stood in the water for 10,000 years and recited the prayers given to them by Lord Shiva. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so after Lord Shiva gave them the prayers, Rudra Gitam. Yeah, Rudra, Lord Shiva, Gitam, about the Bhagavata, Strotam. Then what happened? Sarve Prachetas, all the Prachetas, Japantas stay and Tapah. How many years? Purva Varshanam Ayuttam. Ayuttam is 10,000 years. Yeah, in Jal. So in the water. Yeah, they recited the prayers for 10,000 years. प्राचीन बहिषमं क्षक्तः कर्म श्वास सत्य मानसम नारदो अध्यात्म तत्वज्ञः कृपालुः प्रत्यबोधयत. While the princes were undergoing severe austerities in the water, their father was performing different types of fruitive activities. At this time, the great Saint Narad, master and teacher of all spiritual life, became very compassionate upon the king and decided to instruct him about spiritual life. Yeah, that's when Narad Muni comes and gives this instruction to Prachin Bahisham, who is the king, about the spiritual life. Very nice purpose. So let's read this, Tarun.
As pointed out by Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur, a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya, Kaivalya, or merging into the Brahman effulgence, is just like going to hell. He similarly states that elevation to the upper planetary systems for the enjoyment of heavenly life is just so much Pantara Asmarogarya. This means that a devotee does not give any importance to the ultimate goal of the karmis and gyanis. The ultimate goal of the karmis is promotion to the heavenly kingdom, and the ultimate goal of the gyanis is merging into the Brahman effulgence. Of course, the gyanis are superior to the karmis, as confirmed by Lord Chaitanya. Koti karmasita madhye eka gyani shrestha. One gyani or impersonalist is better than many thousands of fruitive actors. This is quoted from Madhya 19.147. Therefore, a devotee never enters upon the path of karma or elevation by fruitive activities. Narada Muni took compassion upon King Prachin Bahirsat when he saw the king engaged in fruitive activity. In comparison to mundane workers, those who are trying to be elevated to the higher planetary systems by performing yajnas are undoubtedly superior. In pure devotional service, however, both karma and jnana are considered bewildering features of the illusory energy. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So, couple of very important points mentioned here. First is what are the karmis and jnanis, right? So the karmis are the ones who are engaged in karma. So some people will just believe, like we'll hear a lot of people saying that, hey, I just believe in doing the karma. I just want to do the good karma. Yeah. So they are the good karmis. But then, as we know, the good karmis are also entangled into the karma and they are still in the life cycle of death and birth, right? And they get good results, but they are still karmic. Yeah. Better than that, it's mentioned here is jnanis. Which jnanis it's talking about? The jnanis who get into tapasya, who wants to do the self-realization, who do the meditation, right? Because they are elevated souls. So at least they try to understand the soul and the relationship with the super soul, right? So the jnanis are, so what it's being mentioned is koti karma nishta madhye ek jnani shreshta is what is being mentioned by Lord Chaitanya. Yeah. So one jnani is better than 1,000 fruitive actors. But what is being mentioned is very important, right? Because it says the ultimate goal of the karmis is promotion to the heavenly kingdom, right? Why people want to do good karma? So they can get good results. That's their goal. They can get swarg, right? That's their goal, ultimate. What is the ultimate goal of jnanis? Is to merge in the Brahma effulgence. The jnanis who are in the meditation, self-realization, they just wants to merge into this whole universe and get to the Brahma, right? That's what they'll tell you. So that is jnanis and then that is karmis. But in pure devotional service, which is the bhakti, both karma and jnana are considered illusory energy because at the end of the day, the good karmas are also temporary. The results are also temporary, right? So it's all about Maya. And then same thing with the jnanis because they are just trying to merge into the Brahma effulgence, which is also the materialistic effulgence, right? So to go back to the spiritual planet is the pure bhakti. And that's why for pure devotional service, both karma and jnana are considered features of Maya, right? So it's very interesting to understand the karmis, right? The karma yoga, the jnana yoga and the bhakti yoga. All this is nicely explained here. Yeah. Nice. Hare Krishna, Rasiksham Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Just and then we appeared. Padhiye.
श्रेयस्त्वं कृतमद्राजन् कर्मणात्मन इह से दुःखहानिः सुखावाप्ति श्रेयस्तन्ने चेष्यते. Narad Muni asking Prachetas, my dear king, what do you desire to achieve by performing these fruitive activities? The chief aim of life is to get rid of all miseries and enjoy happiness. But these two things cannot be realized by fruitive activities. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, yeah. So Narad Muni appears, and as we know, because King Prachin Bahisat is engaged in all these fruitive activities, karmas, and even though we know their sons, Prachetas, are engaged in tapasya, so Narad Muni wants to give him the instructions about the bhakti yoga. So he's asking, right? He's asking them, like, what are you trying to achieve by performing this karmana itman ihase? Because he's saying that what is the chief objective, what is the real goal of the life is dukkhani sukhavapti. Yeah, the chief aim of life is to get rid of all miseries and enjoy happiness. Yeah, but those two things, even though we think can be engaged by the karma activities, those two things cannot be realized by fruitive activities, is what is being mentioned by Narad Muni to Prachin Bahisat. And actually a nice explanation of this, Ajay.
Sure. Therefore, Narad Muni asked King Prachan Bharat what he desired to attain by performing so many costly sacrifices. Even if one attains a heavenly planet, he cannot avoid the distress of birth, old age, disease, and death. Someone may argue that even devotees have to undergo many distresses in executing austerities and penances connected with devotional service. Of course, for the neophytes, the routine of devotional service may be very painful, but at least they have the hope that they will ultimately be able to avoid all kinds of distresses and achieve the highest perfectional stage of happiness. For the common karmis, there is no such hope because even if they are promoted to the higher planetary system, they are not guaranteed freedom from the miseries of birth, old age, disease, and death. Even Lord Brahma, who is situated in the highest planetary system, Brahmalok, has to die. Lord Brahma's birth and death may be different from an ordinary man's, but within this material world he cannot avoid the distress of birth, old age, disease, and death. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So what it says, if one is at all serious about attaining liberation from these miseries, he must take to devotional service. This is confirmed by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, says Janma karma cha me divyam ivam yo veti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma neti mam iti so Arjuna. Yeah, Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that one who knows this transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take this birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Thus, after attaining full Krishna consciousness, the devotee does not return to this material world after death. He goes back home, back to Godhead. That is the perfect stage of happiness, unblemished by any trace of distress. Yeah, very nice. So, Tarun?
न जानामि महाभाग परम कर्मा पविद्यति भूमि में विमलम ज्ञानम येन मुच्यते कर्मभिः. The king replied, O great soul, Narada, my intelligence is entangled in futile activities. Therefore, I do not know the ultimate goal of life. Kindly instruct me in pure knowledge so that I can get out of the entanglement of futile activities. Hare
Krishna. Yeah, so what is king asking? King Prachin Bahir, sir, is asking Narad Muni that Muchyeya karma bhi hai. Give me the knowledge. Yeah, so I can get out of the entanglement of the karmas. And again, very nice purport. So let's read this actually. Shiksha Prabhuji?
Sri Narottam Das Thakur has sung, Satsang chhadi kenu asat vilasa, ta karenge lagila ye karma bandha fasana. As long as person is entangled in the fruitive activity, he is bound to accept one body after another. This is called karma bandha fasana. Entanglement in fruitive activity. It does not matter whether one is engaged in pious or impious activity, for both are causes for further entanglement in material bodies. By pious activity, one can take birth in a rich family and get a good education and beautiful body. But this does not mean that the distress of life is ultimately eliminated. In the Western countries, it is not usual for one to take birth in a rich aristocratic family, not is unusual for one to have a good education and very beautiful body. But this does not mean that Westerns are free from the distress of life. Although at the present moment, the younger generation in Western countries has sufficient education, beauty, and wealth, and although there is enough food, clothing, and facilities for the sense gratification, they are in distress. Indeed, they are so distressed that the they become hippie, and law of nature forces them to accept a rich life. Thus, they go about unclean and without shelter or food, and they are forced to sleep in the street. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay.
Sure. So it can be concluded that one cannot become happy by simply performing pious activities. It is not a fact that those who are born with a silver spoon in their mouth are free from the material miseries of birth, old age, disease, and death. The conclusion is that one cannot be happy by simply executing pious or impious activities. Such activities simply cause entanglement and transmigration from one body to another. Uttam Das Thakur caused this karma bandh fansa. King Prasina Bharishat admitted that fact and frankly asked Narad Muni how he could get out of this karma bandh fans, entanglement in fruitive activities. This is actually the stage of knowledge indicated in the first verse of Vedanta Sutra. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. When one actually reaches the platform of frustration in an attempt to discharge karma bandh funds, he inquires about the real value of life, which is called Brahma Jigyasa. In order to inquire about the ultimate goal of life, the Vedas, Mukund Upanishad 11.2.12, enjoined Tad Vignartham Sa Gurum Ivabi Gachat. In order to understand the transcendental science, one must approach a bona fide spiritual master. Hare Krishna.
Tarun?
King Prachina Bharisat found the best spiritual master, Narad Muni, and he therefore asked him about that knowledge by which one can get out of the entanglement of karma bandha fansa, fruitive activities. This is the actual business of human life. Jivasya tattva jignasa nartho yas teha karma bhi. As stated in the second chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, a human being's only business is inquiring from a bona fide spiritual master about extrication from the entanglement of karma bandha fansa. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Tarun. So I think we'll take a pause here. And we are going to hear a stuti of whatever Lord Shiva has been teaching to Prachetas, very nicely compiled stuti. It is 10 minutes, but I think we'll hear the complete stuti, yeah? And as we have said, even hearing that stuti itself is a great benediction, yeah? So let's try to hear that. Yeah, so this is the stuti taught by Lord Shiva to Prachetas, right? About Lord Purushottam. Very nice. Hear that.
Shri Rudra Uvacha Yuyam Vedishadah Putra Viditam Vaschikishitam Anugrahaya Bhadram Vadevam Me Darshanam Kritam Param Brahma Sakshat Triguna Jiva Sangitat Bhagavantam Vasudevam Pravannah Sapriyo Hime स्वधर्मनिष्ठः शतजन्मभिः पुमान् विनिर्जतामेति ततः परं हि माम् अव्याकृतभागवतोऽथ वैष्णवम् पदं यथाहं विपुला प्रलभ्यये अथ भागवता प्रियास्थ भगवान् यथा न मद्भागवतानां च प्रेयानन्योऽस्ति कर्हिचित् इदं विविक्तं चक्तव्यं पवित्रं मङ्गलं परम् निःश्रेयसकरं चापि श्रूयतां तद्वदामि वः मैत्रेय उवाच इत्यनुक्रोशहृदयो भगवानाहताच्छिवः बद्धाञ्जलिन् राजपुत्रान् नारायणपरो वचः श्रीरुद्र उवाच जितं त आत्मविद्वर्य स्वस्तये स्वस्तिरस्तु मे भवताराधसाराद्धं सर्वस्मा आत्मने नमः नमः पङ्कजनाभाय भूतसूक्ष्मेन्द्रियात्मने वासुदेवाय शान्ताय कूटस्थाय स्वरोचिषे सङ्कर्षणाय सूक्ष्माय दुरन्तायान्तकाय च नमो विश्वप्रबोधाय ज्ञायान्तरात्मने नमो नमो निरुद्धाय हृषीकेशेन्द्रियात्मने नमः परमहंसाय पूर्णाय निभृतात्मने स्वर्गापवर्गद्वाराय नित्यं शुचिषते नमः नमो हिरण्यवीर्याय चातुर्होत्राय तन्तवे नम ऊर्ज इषेत्रय्य पतये यज्ञरेतसे तृप्तिदाय च जीवानां नमः सर्वरसात्मने सर्वसत्त्वात्मदेहाय विशेषाय स्थवीयसे नमः त्रैलोक्यपालाय सह ओजोबलाय च अर्थलिङ्गाय नभसे नमोऽन्तर्बहिरात्मने नमः पुण्याय लोकाय अमुष्मै भूरिवर्त्यसे प्रवृत्ताय निवृत्ताय पितृदेवाय कर्मणे नमो धर्मविपाकाय मृत्यवे दुःखदाय च नमस्ते आशिषामीश मनवे कारणात्मने नमो धर्माय बृहदे कृष्णाय कुण्ठमेधसे पुराणाय साङ्ख्ययोगेश्वराय च शक्तित्रयसमेताय मीढुषेऽहङ्कृतात्मने चेत आकूतिरूपाय नमो वाचो विभूतये दर्शनं नोदि दृक्षूणां देहि भागवतार्चितम् रूपं प्रियतमं स्वानां सर्वेन्द्रियगुणाञ्जनम् स्निग्धप्रावृङ्गनश्यामं सर्वसौन्दर्यसङ्ग्रहम् चार्वायत चतुर्बाहु सुजातरुचिराननम् पद्मकोशपलाशाक्षं सुन्दरभ्रुसुनासिकम् सुद्विजं सुकपोलास्यं समकर्णविभूषणम् प्रीतिप्रहसितापाङ्गमलकैरूपशोभितम् लसत्पङ्कजकिञ्जल्कदुकूलं मृष्टकुण्डलम् स्फुरत्किरीटवलयहारनूपुरमेखलम् शङ्खचक्रगदा पद्ममाला मण्युत्तमर्धिमत सिंहस्कन्धद्विषो बिभ्रत्सौभगग्रीवकौस्तुभम् श्रियानपायिन्याक्षिप्तनिकषाश्मोरसोल्लसत् पूररेचकसंविघ्नबलिबल्गुदलोदरम् प्रतिसङ्क्रामयद्विश्वं नाभ्यावर्तगभीरया श्यामश्रोण्यधिरोचिष्णुदुकूलस्वर्णमेखलम् समचारन्ध्रिजङ्घोरुनिम्नजानुसुदर्शनम् पदाशरत्पद्मपलाशरोचिषा नखद्युभिर्नोऽन्तरघं विधुन्वता प्रदर्शय स्वीयमपास्तसाध्वसम् पदं गुरो मार्गगुरुस्तमोजुषा एतद्रूपमनुध्येयमात्मशुद्धिमभीप्सता यद्भक्तियोगो भयदः स्वधर्ममनुष्ठता भवान् भक्तिमता लभ्यो दुर्लभः सर्वदेहिनाम् स्वाराज्यस्याप्यभिमत एकान्तेनात्मविद्गतिः तं दुराराध्यमाराध्य सतामपि दुरापया एकान्तभक्त्या को वाञ्छेत् पादमूलं विना बहिः यत्र निर्विष्टमरणं कृतान्तो नाभिमन्यते विश्वं विध्वंसयन् वीर्यशौर्यविस्फूर्जितभ्रुवा क्षणार्धेनापि तुलयेन स्वर्गं न पुनर्भवम् भगवत्सङ्गिसङ्गस्य मर्त्यानां किमुताशिषः अथानघाङ्घ्रेस्तव कीर्तितीर्थयोरन्तर्बहिः स्नानविधूतपाप्मनाम् भूतेष्वनुक्रोशसुसत्त्वशीलिनाम् स्यात्सङ्गमोऽनुग्रह एष नस्तव न यस्य चित्तं बहिरर्थविभ्रमम् तमो गुहायां च विशुद्धमाविशत् यद्भक्तियोगानुगृहीतमञ्जसा मुनिर्विचष्टे ननु तत्र ते गतिम् यत्रेदं व्युच्यते विश्वं विश्वस्मिन्नवभाति यत् तत्त्वं ब्रह्म परं ज्योतिराकाशमिव विस्तृतम् यो माययेदं पुरुरूपया सृज बिभर्ति भूयः क्षपयत्यविक्रियः यद्भेदबुद्धिः सदिवात्मदुस्तया त्वमात्मतन्त्रं भगवन् प्रतीमहि क्रियाकलापैरिदमेव योगिनः श्रद्धान्विताः साधु यजन्ति सिद्धये भूतेन्द्रियान्तःकरणोपलक्षितम् वेदे च तन्त्रे च त एव कोविदाः त्वमेक आद्यः पुरुषः सुप्तशक्तिस्तया रजः सत्त्वतमो विभिद्यते महानहं खं मरुदग्निवार्धराः सुरर्षयो भूतगणा इदं यतः सृष्टं स्वशक्त्येदमनुप्रविष्टश्च चतुर्विधं पुरमात्मांशकेन अथो विदुस्तं पुरुषं सन्तमन्तर्भुङ्क्ते ऋषिकैर्मधुसारघं यः स एष लोकानतिचण्डवेगो विकर्षसि त्वं खलु कालयानः भूतानि भूतैरनुमेय तत्त्वो घनावलिर्वायुरिवाभिषह्यः प्रमत्तमुच्चैरिति कृत्य चिन्तया प्रवृद्धलोभं विषयेषु लालसम् त्वमप्रमत्तः सहसाभिपद्यसे क्षुल्लेलिहानो गिरिवाकुहन्तकः कस्त्वत्पदाब्जं विजहाति पण्डितो यस्त्वेवमानव्ययमानकेतनः विशङ्कया स्मद्गुरुरर्चति स्म यद्विनोपपत्तिं मनवश्चतुर्दश हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
बोलो हर हर महादेव, बोलो राधे कृष्ण भगवान की जय.
Jai.
It's nicely compiled, right? Everything was read in last 3 days.
Right.
Yeah, we heard the whole Stuti taught by Lord Shiva to Prachetas for Lord Pushala. Yeah, very nice. So it's Wednesday. We'll take a break for the next 4 days. Enjoy your holy celebrations. And
Thank you.
we'll see you on Monday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And Tuesday
Good.
morning,
Thank you.
8 a.m. India time.
Thank you.
Yeah, Hare
This,
Krishna. Ajay, you have to say something?
yeah, I wanted to say that especially people from India, the time is going to change this weekend. So
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
Rasikyam Prabhuji. So the time is, what is happening? 1 hour ahead?
2.5 hours.
So it'll be 2.5 hours. So now it will be 7 o'clock instead of 8 in India.
Yes.
So Prabhuji, instead of 8 a.m., it will be 7 a.m. A little more early for you, I think. So let's see. Yeah, it'll be nice if you could make it. You know, it'll be 7 to 8 a.m. your time.
If it's too early, then we can shift to Ajay's time.
Yeah, the 10 p.m., right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we may do that actually. We'll see. Let's see how it goes.
So that
Because
gives them in between, right? It becomes 7:30 for them.
yeah, is that better, Rasikyam Prabhuji? What's good for you? I know Rasikyam Prabhuji gets up even earlier, but then he has all his japas and everything. So
पूरा जब का शेड्यूल बिगड़ता है.
तो आपका
मैं
schedule
ट्राई करता हूँ एक सिटिंग में 16 राउंड कंप्लीट करूँ. मेरा ये ट्राई रहता है. और बीच में बच्चों को भी स्कूल जाने का टाइम रहता है, तो उनको भी छोड़ना पड़ता है बस उसमें.
right. It's a little tough. Yeah.
तब
So is
होगा.
early 7 is better, 7:30 or 8? Which is better for you?
देखिए 8 तो मेरे लिए अच्छा था, ठीक है ना.
अच्छा.
नहीं वो 7:30 करिए, 7:30 करिए. बिल्कुल.
Will be better.
हाँ,
ठीक है.
7:30.
8 यहाँ के लिए लेट हो जाएगा ना गजेंद्र जी. 7:30 बजे चालू करेंगे
बहुत late हो जाएगा.
तो इधर लोग सो जाएंगे आधा वैसे ही.
नहीं तो पहले आप लोग शिफ्ट करिए. आप एक काम करिए, 7:15 बजे शुरू करिए.
So that is 9:37.
हाँ.
तो 7 to 7:15 chanting रहती है वैसे भी.
हाँ.
And then if 7:15 you can join, that's perfect. If that's possible. So then
आपका
we can,
7:15 मेरा हो जाएगा. मैं देखता हूँ कैसे.
नहीं, आपका 7:15 बोल रहे हैं.
7:15 बोलेगा. हमारा तो 9:30 हाँ 9:45 रहेगा रात का.
ओके. नहीं आप 7 बजे से शुरू करिए.
नहीं हम लोग
ठीक है
शाम
ना?
को 7 बजे is too early for us.
हाँ नहीं शाम को 7 बजे नहीं, मतलब मेरा 7 बजे होगा.
हाँ करेक्ट.
तो आपका, हाँ आपका टाइम देख करके आप शुरू करिए. मैं इनविटेशन ज्वाइन करूंगा.
ठीक है. That's fine.
ठीक है ना.
तो हम लोग
मैं
work out
उसको
करेंगे.
एडजस्ट करूंगा सब होंगे.
ठीक है bro. You're so nice. Thank you so much. It's nice to see you there. And चलो बहुत मजा आया. This week we read the whole Lord Shiva's pravachan. That was really nice. Yeah. चलो Hare Krishna. A nice weekend.
Hare Krishna.
See you on Monday. Mostly
See you
9:30
Monday.
p.m. If we change, I'll put it down.
ठीक है. We are okay either ways.
Yeah. ठीक है.
ठीक है.
Hare Krishna.
Okay.
okay.